The foremost warrior of Enlil gave kingship of Lagash to Urukagina, and his hand had grasped him out of the multitude. Then Ningirsu enjoined upon him the divine decrees of former days. Urukagina held close to the word which is king. Ningirsu spoke to him. He banned the man in charge of the boatmen from seizing the boats. He banned the head of the shepherds from seizing the donkeys and sheep. He banned the man in charge of the fisheries from seizing the fisheries. By his own account, it seems that Urukagina was a man of the people. Unfortunately, his reign and reforms were too little, too late. Lagash's weakness had not gone unnoticed by its neighbors, most notably by the new king of its great rival, the city-state of Umma. In 2341 BC, a man named Lugal Zaghezi became the new NC of Umma. Not much is known about his life before he became king, but in his second year as Umma's ruler, he attacked and ultimately conquered the city-state of Lagash, perhaps out of vengeance for so many centuries of being bullied by its once great rival. Lugal Zaghezi's men burned, plundered and destroyed Lagash, its capital of Girsu, and all of its holy places, including the great temple of its patron god Ningirsu. In one text that was uncovered, a scribe from Lagash lamented the destruction of Ningirsu's city and cursed Lugal Zaghezi. He, Lugal Zaghezi, has ruined the barley field of Ningirsu as much as had been ploughed because the man of Umma destroyed the bricks of Lagash. He committed a sin against Ningirsu. He will cut off his hands which had been lifted against him. It is not the sin of Urukagina, the king of Girsu. Nidaba, the personal goddess of Lugal Zaghezi, the NC of Umma, make him bear all his sins. Lugal Zaghezi did not stop with Lagash and would go on to claim to control not just all of Sumer, but the lands from the lower sea, that is the Persian Gulf, to the upper sea, meaning the Mediterranean. In a well-known inscription on Avaz that he himself had commissioned, Lugal Zaghezi wants us to know the following. When Enlil, the king of all the lands, had given the kingship of the land to Lugal Zaghezi, had directed him, the eyes of all the people of the land had prostrated all the people before him. Then all the people from the lower sea along the Tigris and Euphrates to the upper sea directed their feet toward him from east to west. Enlil gave him no rival. The people of all the lands lie peacefully in the meadow under his rule. The land rejoiced under his rule. All the sovereigns of Sumer and the emissaries of all the foreign lands bowed down before him in Uruk. If this were true, then Lugal Zaghezi would have created the first real empire in history. Unfortunately for him, he's not remembered as such, nor do modern scholars believe that he actually ruled over all of the lands that he claimed to. Lugal Zaghezi would be defeated by a man who would arguably become the most celebrated and influential person in all of early antiquity. He was not a Sumerian but an Akkadian whose birth name is unknown, but who would call himself Sargon of Akkad or Sargon the Great. The early history of Sargon is obscured in myth and legend. We don't even know his real name, only that he later called himself Sharikunu, also read Shahrukin, which in the Akkadian language means true or legitimate king. One story of his early years is that his mother, who was a priestess of the goddess Ishtar, the Akkadian name for Inanna, cast him away in a basket down the Euphrates River, where he was eventually picked up by a gardener who raised him. The legend continues with Sargon eventually becoming the cupbearer of Urzobaba, the king of the city-state of Kish. It was during this time that Lugal Zaghezi of Umma was gobbling up the city-states of Sumer into one great Mesopotamian power with Uruk as its new capital. However, his plans for Near Eastern domination came to an end when Sargon and his band of followers marched south from Kish to Uruk and captured Lugal Zaghezi. The document known as the Sumerian King List tells us the following. In Uruk, Lugal became king and reigned for 25 years. One king reigned for 25 years. Then Uruk was defeated and the kingship taken to Akkad. In Akkad, Sargon, whose father was a gardener, reigned for 56 years. Sargon's own words of his Sumerian campaign are a bit more detailed. In an old Babylonian copy of a document attributed to him, he speaks of himself in the following way: Sargon, the king of Akkad, the bailiff of Ishtar, the king of the universe, the anointed one of An, the king of the land, the governor of Enlil. He vanquished Uruk in battle and smote 50 governors and the city by the mace of the god Ilaba, and he destroyed its fortress and captured Lugal Zaghezi, the king of Uruk, in battle. He led him to the gate of Enlil in a neckstock. Sargon of Akkad vanquished Ur in battle and smote the city and destroyed its fortress. He smote its territory and Lagash as far as the sea. He vanquished Umma in battle and destroyed its fortress. It's with Sargon's conquest of southern Mesopotamia, around 2334 BC, that the early dynastic period of Sumer comes to an end. Sargon, though, didn't stop with Sumer. Unlike Lugal Zaghezi, who may have only boasted about conquering an empire from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean Sea, most scholars believe that Sargon actually did that and more. One could go on about the conquests and exploits of Sargon, his two sons, and his powerful grandson, Naram-Sin, but these are stories for another time. What's more important for our purpose here is the effects of the Akkadian conquest on Sumer and its inhabitants. The people that we know as the Akkadians came from the land just north of Sumer, known as Akkad, what would now make up a good part of central and northern Iraq. For centuries they had lived side by side with the Sumerians and may have even constituted sizable populations within Sumer's core cities. At the time, though, they themselves didn't have a written language, so our early knowledge of them is quite limited. Akkadians spoke an Eastern Semitic language that we also call Akkadian. Unlike Sumerian, which is a language isolate, Akkadian is similar to other well-understood Semitic languages, including Canaanite, Aramaic, and even modern Hebrew and Arabic. When Sargon conquered all of Sumer, he made the Akkadian language the official one, and adopted the Sumerian script for its written form. This, though, doesn't mean that Sumerian was no longer spoken or even written, but that it was slowly being replaced in daily life, as all official documents and proclamations were now in Akkadian. Sargon seems to have taken a great deal of pride in the fact that he was not of noble birth, something that he stressed in early autobiographies of himself. Perhaps this made him more relatable to the average person. After all, how else could an Akkadian outsider muster enough power and influence to topple the Sumerian establishment and unify them all under his banner? He broke the power of the priesthood, the local noble classes, and the Sumerian nobility, and replaced them with Akkadian governors who were loyal to him. Sargon and his successors also reorganized and redistributed temple lands and mostly gave them to their hardcore supporters and loyalists. This really crushed the power of the priesthood because up until then, such property had been their main source of revenue. He also put his daughter Enheduanna in charge of the wealthy temple complex in the city of Ur. With its millennia-old cities, temple establishments and other institutions, Sumer had been the center of civilization in Mesopotamia, the Near Eastern region, and possibly even the world up until that time. Although the civilizations of China, Egypt, and the Indus Valley were also on the rise. Sargon, though, shifted this center when he established his new capital of Akkad on the Euphrates River, better known as Agade. It was here that he built palaces and temples dedicated to his patron deities, specifically the goddess Ishtar and the warrior god of Kish-Zababa. Not only did Agade become the political center of the Akkadian Empire, but its main economic hub as well. Boats carrying goods from Dilmun and Magan, today modern Bahrain and Oman respectively, docked at Agade's ports, and caravans from Anatolia, Elam, Arabia, and the Levant all came to Agade. Sargon and his successors also reformed the tax system, with most of the revenue coming directly to Agade before being distributed to other parts of the empire. Such actions were all at the expense of Sumerian cities such as Uruk, Lagash and Ur, which before Sargon's conquest of Sumer had been amongst the most prosperous cities of ancient Mesopotamia. As far as we know, Sargon kept a pretty tight grip on power during his reign between 2334 to 2279 BC. When he died, several rebellions broke out, and his sons who succeeded him, first Raimush and then Manishtushu, had a difficult time keeping the empire together. The cities of Sumer were in constant rebellion and only subdued after much violence and brutality. Though Sargon's grandson Naram-Sin was able to stabilize and then expand the Akkadian Empire into new territories. By the end of the reign of his successor Shar-Kali-Shari in 2193 BC, the Akkadian state may have held little territory outside of Akkad. The Sumerian king list seems to describe a chaotic time during which there were several kings with short reigns whose true lineages were unknown. Shar-Kali-Shari, son of Naram-Sin, ruled for 25 years. Then who was king? Who was not king? Urukagina was king, Nanum was king, Imi was king, Ilulu was king. Those 4 kings ruled 3 years. Dudu reigned 21 years. Shudurul, the son of Dudu, reigned for 15 years. Though the Akkadian Empire was no more, the final nail in the coffin came several years later when the people from the Zagros mountains known as the Gutians swept in, overthrew Shudurul, and destroyed Akkad. Most scholars believe that it was a bit more complicated than that. Recent findings seem to indicate that severe famine and drought may have been the real culprit causing instability in both Sumer and Akkad, as well as the collapse of the regional economy. This would have no doubt triggered massive unrest amongst the general population and ultimately brought the Akkadian state to a point where it could no longer hold on to its many territories. Gap 2S. As we reflect on the legacy of Sumer, one cannot overlook one of its most profound contributions to human civilization, the invention of writing. In the bustling city-states of ancient Sumer, around 3400 BCE, the earliest form of writing known as cuneiform began to take shape. Initially, it was a series of pictographs used to record transactions and inventories, a crucial development for the growing complexity of Sumerian society. Gap 2S. With time, these pictographs evolved into a more abstract and flexible system of wedge-shaped symbols, pressed into clay tablets using a stylus. This innovation revolutionized record-keeping and administration, allowing for the meticulous documentation of trade, legal contracts, and governmental decrees. It was a tool that enabled the centralization of power and the efficient management of resources, laying the groundwork for the sophisticated bureaucracies of future empires. Gap 2S. Beyond the practical, cuneiform also opened the doors to literature, science, and history. Epic tales like that of Gilgamesh, astronomical observations, and medical texts were all etched into clay, preserving the knowledge and culture of Sumer for millennia. The echoes of these ancient scribes still resonate today, reminding us of the incredible ingenuity and enduring influence of the Sumerian civilization. Gap 2S. From the rise and fall of empires to the birth of writing, the story of Sumer is a testament to human resilience and innovation. As we close this chapter, we honor the legacy of a civilization that, though long gone, continues to shape our world in ways both great and small. Gap 2S. As we delve deeper into the legacy of Sumer, we uncover a rich tapestry of religious beliefs and mythology that shaped the very fabric of their society. The Sumerians were deeply spiritual people, and their pantheon of gods and goddesses reflected the complexities of their world. At the heart of their religious practices was the worship of An, the sky god, and Enlil, the god of air and storms, who together held dominion over the cosmos. Gap 2S. Inanna, the goddess of love and war, and Enki, the god of water and wisdom, were also central figures in Sumerian mythology, each embodying essential aspects of life and nature. These deities were believed to reside in grand temples, or ziggurats, which towered over the city-states, serving as both religious and administrative centers. Gap 2S. The Sumerians also had elaborate creation myths that sought to explain the origins of the world and humanity. According to their beliefs, the gods created humans from clay to serve them, ensuring the maintenance of the cosmos through rituals and offerings. These myths were not just stories, but were integral to the Sumerians' understanding of their place in the universe and their relationship with the divine. Gap 2S. Religious practices in Sumer were deeply intertwined with daily life. Priests and priestesses conducted intricate ceremonies, recited hymns, and offered sacrifices to appease the gods and secure their favor. Festivals and processions marked the agricultural calendar, celebrating the cycles of nature and the divine forces that governed them. Gap 2s. Through their religious beliefs and practices, the Sumerians sought to bring order to a chaotic world, finding meaning and purpose in the divine. Their mythology and rituals have left an indelible mark on the history of religion, influencing subsequent cultures and shaping the spiritual landscape of the ancient Near East. Gap 2s. As we explore the spiritual world of Sumer, we gain a deeper appreciation for the profound ways in which their beliefs and myths continue to resonate, offering timeless insights into the human quest for understanding and connection with the divine. Gap 2s. As we continue our journey through the legacy of Sumer, it's impossible to overlook the groundbreaking innovations and contributions that emerged from this ancient civilization. The Sumerians were not only pioneers in spirituality, but also in technology and societal organization. Gap 2s. One of their most notable inventions was the wheel, a revolutionary development that transformed transportation and trade, allowing for the movement of goods and people over greater distances with unprecedented ease. This simple yet profound invention laid the foundation for countless future advancements in engineering and mobility. Gap 2s. In addition to the wheel, the Sumerians introduced the plough, a crucial agricultural tool that significantly boosted food production. By harnessing the power of animals to till the soil, they increased the efficiency of farming, which in turn supported larger populations and the growth of cities. This innovation marked a major leap forward in agricultural practices and set the stage for the development of complex societies. Gap 2s. The Sumerians were also masters of water management, creating sophisticated irrigation systems to control the flow of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. These systems allowed them to cultivate arid lands and ensure a stable food supply, even in challenging environmental conditions. The ability to manage water resources effectively was a cornerstone of their agricultural success and a testament to their ingenuity. Gap 2s. Beyond technology, the Sumerians made significant strides in the realm of writing, as seen with the creation of cuneiform script. This early form of writing enabled them to record transactions, laws, and stories, preserving knowledge for future generations and facilitating the administration of their city-states. Gap 2s. Their contributions to mathematics, including the development of a base 60 number system, influenced various fields such as astronomy and architecture. The Sumerian calendar, based on lunar cycles, was another remarkable achievement, helping them to track time and plan agricultural activities with precision. Gap 2s. Through these innovations, the Sumerians laid the groundwork for many aspects of modern civilization. Their legacy of creativity and problem-solving continues to inspire and inform our understanding of human progress. As we reflect on their remarkable achievements, we recognize the enduring impact of Sumerian ingenuity on the world we live in today. As we delve deeper into the world of the Sumerians, let's take a closer look at their daily life. A tapestry woven with intricate social structures, diverse occupations, and the rhythms of family life. The Sumerian society was hierarchically structured, with a clear distinction between the ruling class, priests, merchants, artisans, and farmers. At the top of the social pyramid were the kings and priests, who wielded significant influence over both the political and spiritual realms. The priests, in particular, held a revered status, acting as intermediaries between the gods and the people, conducting rituals and managing the temples that were the focal points of Sumerian cities. Below them were the merchants and artisans, who played a crucial role in the economy. The merchants engaged in trade, both locally and with distant lands, bringing in goods such as timber, metals, and precious stones. This trade network was vital for the prosperity of Sumerian city-states. Artisans, on the other hand, were skilled craftsmen who produced a variety of goods, from pottery and textiles to intricate jewelry and tools. Their work not only supported daily life but also contributed to the cultural richness of Sumer. At the base of the social hierarchy were the farmers and laborers, the backbone of Sumerian society. They toiled in the fields, cultivating crops such as barley, wheat, and dates, and tending to livestock. The agricultural calendar dictated much of their lives, with the ebb and flow of planting and harvesting seasons shaping their routines. Family life in Sumer was centered around the home, which was typically a mud brick dwelling. The family unit was patriarchal, with the father as the head of the household, responsible for providing and protecting. Women played essential roles as well, managing the household, raising children, and sometimes engaging in trade or craft work. Children were cherished and often involved in work from a young age, learning the skills and trades necessary for their future roles in society. Education, though not widespread, was available to the children of the elite, who were taught to read and write cuneiform, as well as subjects like mathematics and law. Religion was deeply interwoven with daily life, influencing everything from agriculture to governance. The Sumerians worshipped a pantheon of gods, each associated with natural elements and aspects of life. Temples and ziggurats were not only places of worship, but also centers of community life, where festivals and ceremonies brought people together. In their free time, Sumerians enjoyed various forms of entertainment, such as music, dance, and board games like the royal game of Ur. These activities provided a respite from their daily labors and fostered a sense of community and cultural identity. Through this glimpse into the daily life of the Sumerians, we gain a deeper appreciation for their complex and vibrant society. Their social structures, occupations, and family dynamics reveal a civilization that, despite the passage of millennia, shares many similarities with our own. The legacy of their everyday lives continues to echo through history, reminding us of the enduring human spirit. As we continue our exploration of the Sumerians, let's delve into their trade networks and economic practices, which were vital to the prosperity and growth of their city-states. The Sumerians were pioneers in establishing extensive trade routes that connected them with distant lands, bringing in a wealth of resources and fostering cultural exchanges. In the bustling marketplaces of Sumer, merchants engaged in the age-old practice of barter, exchanging goods and services without the use of money. Barley, a staple crop, often served as a standard measure for trade alongside other commodities like wool, oil, and textiles. This barter system was the foundation of Sumerian commerce, facilitating the flow of goods within and beyond their borders. However, the Sumerians also made strides towards more sophisticated economic practices. Clay tokens, which represented specific quantities of goods, were used for record-keeping and transactions. These tokens eventually evolved into the earliest forms of writing, cuneiform, as merchants began inscribing symbols on clay tablets to document trade agreements and inventories. The trade networks of Sumer extended far and wide. From the mountains of Anatolia, they imported precious metals like copper and gold. Timber came from the cedar forests of Lebanon, while the Indus Valley supplied exotic goods such as gemstones and spices. These long-distance trade connections not only enriched Sumerian society, but also facilitated the exchange of ideas and technologies. Within Sumer, the economy was supported by a well-organized system of labor and production. Artisans and craftsmen worked in specialized workshops, producing goods like pottery, textiles, jewelry, and tools. These items were highly valued both locally and in foreign markets, showcasing the skill and creativity of Sumerian artisans. The agricultural sector was the backbone of the Sumerian economy. Farmers employed advanced techniques such as irrigation and crop rotation to maximize yields. The surplus produced from their fields supported not only the local population but also enabled trade with neighboring regions. Temples played a central role in the Sumerian economy, acting as both religious and economic hubs. They managed vast tracts of land, organized labor, and collected taxes in the form of produce and goods. This wealth was then redistributed, supporting the construction of monumental buildings, public works, and the sustenance of the priesthood. Through their innovative economic practices and extensive trade networks, the Sumerians laid the groundwork for future civilizations. Their system of barter, early forms of currency, and record-keeping methods were precursors to modern economic principles. The legacy of their trade and commerce continues to influence our understanding of ancient economies and their impact on the development of human societies. Join us next as we explore another fascinating aspect of Sumerian civilization.